So we're going to kick this off with some opening comments from Jim Flory.
So a lot of moving parts today, and we use that a lot, but today was very, very true. We have two people in state EOCs. We have Elizabeth Saunders down in the Louisiana EOC. We have a great movement there because she was embedded with ESF 9, which is a great accomplishment for us there, the search and rescue. So our route clearance teams in Louisiana will be going out with search and rescue. That's a great accomplishment for us. I actually think that's a great acknowledgement from Louisiana about our capabilities. In Mississippi, we have Kate, who is there, should be there right now. She's made contact with them all day, working on their asks and pairing them up with our capabilities. In addition, and then I think that's it for the state EOCs.
All right, moving to Lauren for the situation update.
Thanks, Steve. TJ, can you close the door? Thanks. All right, so we have Hurricane Ida. It continues to strengthen, especially over the last 24 hours. It did make landfall around noon today, local time, as a Category 4 hurricane in Lafourche Parish with winds around 150 miles per hour. This was just 7 miles per hour shy of being considered a Cat 5. The storm does continue to move inland, only slightly weakening so far, but it still remains a Category 4 storm. It is currently positioned about 70 miles south of Baton Rouge. The track did shift slightly east. It will continue to move north, moving into Mississippi by tomorrow morning, which by this time the more severe rain and wind will have exited the Baton Rouge, New Orleans area, which could likely allow for a safe movement of teams into that area. Ida will continue to downgrade as it moves through Mississippi into Tennessee. Potentially, the storm could remain a tropical depression pretty much throughout its entirety throughout the continental U.S. As it moves through. Looking at some of those forecasted threats, this is looking at FEMA's, it's called a HAZIS, which they look at the highest wind impacts along with the storm track. So that deeper red is really showing where those most significant wind is going to occur, and then pushing out how much farther those winds are going to go. So we can see a lot of the areas that, where we'd see the most significant tree damage and damage caused by wind in really this central area, and then pushing into Mississippi. We know some of those impacts are starting, but because the storm is still kind of in its infancy as it moves across land, there's still a lot of projections that we're looking at. Also, just to flip on, looking at social vulnerability. A little difficult to see, but those deeper red areas, that's going to be high SVI communities within the area, kind of identifying there is a lot of vulnerability in this area that will be receiving just those higher winds. And right now, that's just talking about winds. Just going back to kind of looking at the rain, we see that the hurricane's very lopsided as far as rain is concerned, pushing out all the way through to Florida. And so in addition, the storm surge will be focused on that eastern side as well. So when we talk about flooding, we really are more targeting and understanding that a lot of the impacts are going to be focused to the east and remaining fairly dry to the west of the eye of the storm. Jumping back here of even just touching on some of the parishes to kind of call out. The storm made landfall down here in Lafourche Parish. Apologies if I'm saying that wrong. But we also have Terrebonne, and then a few other of the parishes making their way up. So as we start identifying areas of interest, really looking in some of these communities, at least concerned for route clearance and targeting those down trees. As far as power outages are concerned, really seeing those coming through. About 20% of customers in the state of Louisiana are currently without power, with more than 75% of customers in some of these most southeastern parishes being without power. Some of those approaching almost the whole community reporting those impacts. So not only is this an indication of the potential severity of the storm as we identify debris that could be covering the roads and damaged residential properties, it's also helping us take considerations of other disruptions that this could cause. Power is going to affect some of those critical services, ability to use credit cards, inability to get gas, those type of things. So expect these power outages to increase into the more northern portion of Louisiana and then pushing into Mississippi as well. And then one other thing, looking at this is what's called a prioritizing operations support tool, another FEMA tool, which they do take into consideration the path of the storm. They take consideration of vulnerability, population density. So calling out some of where they believe some of the most significant impacts are going to be. And we can see some of the ones calling out earlier, but noticing New Orleans is in there, Baton Rouge is in there, but some of those communities more coastal, I think Huma is one of them. So as the storm continues to progress, we're going to keep looking in those areas. And knowing that damage is occurring, but still a few hours in and knowing a lot more areas are still going to be seeing that significant damage potentially coming through. But this is just kind of a quick kind of glimpse of some of the images just from social media, even showing a lot of wind damage, but also seeing some of those flooding in some of the different communities. And then finally, looking at additional storms coming up. So we do have Tropical Storm Julian that did kind of sneak in there. Been watching it for a little bit, but it did get named today. But again, looking at that one, not too concerned that it will be causing any impacts to land. Do have this new low pressure system off the coast of Virginia, but hopefully crossing fingers, it's going to keep moving east and not impact land as well. And then we do have this new storm pushing off the coast of Africa, already showing that within the next 5 days, a high likelihood of formation to be probably our next potential storm. Really far out, don't know its future, but something that could potentially be a pretty impactful storm in the future. So keeping an eye on that. With that, I will turn it back to you, Steve.
All right, thank you, Lauren. So we're going to hand it off to Casey with plans. You're muted, Casey. You look like you're doing a good job.
In regard to the route clearance portion of the op, we now have a name. It's 2-lane blacktop. We are prepping the op board for that. We have route clearance teams staged in Lake Charles and en route to Mobile. And as a result of Elizabeth's work in the Louisiana EOC, they have asked us to embed our route clearance with their search and rescue efforts, and we do plan to support that. On the core op side, it is now named We Won't Back Down. The Warno has been approved, and we're prepping the Advon. The recon teams are en route to rally points in Lake Charles and Mobile. The national call to action just went out. We will pre-stage as early as today at the NOC with plans to move trailers and supplies from the NOC in Houston Monday and Tuesday to initially support up to 2 FOBs. We also have a gray shirt en route to the Mississippi EOC. That's all for me. Barring any questions, I'll pass it back to you, Steve.
Thank you, Casey. We're going to go to the IMT, Tracy.
Jeff's got it.
Oh, Jeff's got it. Good, sir.
Good evening, everybody. As was already mentioned, we have 2 recon teams stationed in Alabama and 1 in Louisiana, currently waiting to move in as soon as conditions allow. Advon team, Advon, the CTA has gone out. We're monitoring for names as they come in. IMT is currently being moved to the NOC to assist the Advon teams. Pending any questions, that's all I have at this time.
Thank you, sir. We're going to move to MOB with Brenda.
This is Brenda speaking on behalf of South Branch Mobilization. We're supporting 2 route clearance teams and 4 recon teams that are in the field. One AS1 was removed from the route clearance team due to weather impacting the transportation plan. A call to action was sent out to gather support for the Advon team. There is a known error with the link. It will have to be copied and pasted into your browser since there's 2 HTTPSs. Thank you. That's all I have.
Thank you. Logs, John.
Evening. Currently, we are moving equipment and personnel to Dallas, then moving that equipment to Houston staging to support the Advon. At the current time, we are prepping 25 vehicles to support Advon. We have 2 response trailers and 2 national tech kits ready to deploy.
Thanks, sir. John Toma, Finance.
Hi, everybody. Received earlier this afternoon a Advon for the New Orleans Advon. We're transporting the 25 vehicles, I guess, down to the Louisiana via Houston. So we're currently developing a plan to do that. Trying to work out some of the details at present. It's all from this side.
Thanks, sir. Comms with Morgan.
I just posted the link at the beginning of this to Kate's interview with CNN last night. She did a great job on that. We have a lot more press coming up with Fox and Friends First, CBS This Morning, and Good Morning America. Potentially more coming soon. We have 3 photographers waiting to be dispatched. One of them is going to be with the Advon team tomorrow. And our recon and route clearance team should be submitting some content to us via Cinebody. And that's all I got.
All right, thank you. Moving to Dev. Sir.
Good evening, all. Dev updates. Earlier today, we sent out an email to all donors informing them on our updates with route clearance and recon teams. And we continue conversations with organizations such as Bloomberg around efforts to support our operations. More to come in the next few days.
All right. Closing remarks with Jeff.
Yeah. Hi, good afternoon, team. So where are we? We've got our initial footprint established. That's a good thing. We're embedded with both of the impacted states that we know of right now. There could be additional states obviously impacted as it moves through. Where do I want us focused? I want to make sure that we've got a good plan to collect and disseminate situational awareness. We need to incorporate the state liaisons or state Team Rubicon agency reps, if you will, that are in the EOCs. That'll be a good source of information. Then I also want us to focus on how we're going to increase that footprint. And the why to that is I want us to be ready when conditions warrant and we've got good locations to really get shit done. So that's the focus that we're working on here. Also developing our rough budget for the operation. We'll get that into development's hands hopefully tomorrow so that they can do what they do to fuel the engine, and things are running smooth. So keep up the good work. Thank you for all that you're doing, and know that we're here to support your efforts, and we want to make sure that we can get fobs quickly established and get our gray shirts burning chainsaws and clearing debris and helping folks. That's all I got.
Thanks, sir. All
I
right.
will add one more comment. I love hearing Lauren Valier talk Cajun. As much hurricanes as hit Louisiana, she'll be Cajun before she leaves Team Rubicon. So.
All right, with that, thank y'all very much. We will see y'all tomorrow. Thank you for your help.